Greetings and welcome to a special edition, an added part to our last episode that just dropped today on October what day is this? The 28th. Our producer had contacted me and said, I can't do anything with your questions 4, 5, and 6. And so I went on, listened to what we had recorded, and it sounded like I was talking through about 7 different fans all at the same time, all running at a different speed. And a lot of the time I couldn't make out what I was saying. Unfortunately, Josh, being a college student, trying to figure out when would we be able to get together to redo questions 4, 5, and 6, I figured it was easier for me just to go through those quickly, and that way you would have that information, because I'm sure people are going to be listening and looking at the notes at the bottom of the recording platform notes, and you're going to find, he didn't talk about that, so I'm going to talk about those things. So where it kind of got cut off was talking about measurements of the club you are wanting to change. One of the things that you did not hear, because I started sounding terrible, was along with taking measurements, you're looking at things like in woods, hybrids, driver, you're looking at face angles. Face angles make a huge difference. 1 degree of face angle open versus square. If I return the club back to that exact same location, I will see, and I get the club path going along the same direction that it needs to be to keep it at 1 degree open. The ball's going to be about 6-7 yards right at 200 yards. So if it's a couple of degrees off, I'm now in the right rough or I'm in the left rough. And so one of the things I need to know, what's the face angle that somebody should be looking at, that if you're getting, especially if it's a driver fitting, if it's a fairway wood hybrid fitting. Irons, there is no face angle, so you don't have to worry about that. So we missed that part. Then we talked about you should warm up, and the club fitter should be watching and possibly asking questions. So things that I'm looking at. First of all, I don't want you to hit 400 golf balls. Remember my philosophy, 40 golf balls. Now, once we have found everything that I think we need to do, a lot of times a golfer's going to hit another 8, 10, 15, 20 shots. That's fine. That's after the fitting. Now they're just getting confirmation. But during going into the fitting, I don't want you to be thinking, let's see, we've already hit 2 large buckets. How many swings do I have left? None. Okay, and he wants me to hit some more. No, that should never happen. So a lot of the warming up, I might show you some stretching exercises, hold the club out, lift it up, let it down, lift it up, let it down. Do that with both hands, working on that, rotating, doing some different rotations with my body, arms here, turn back through. Not doing it fast, doing it slow. We're working on things, stretching out things. Then I'm going to give you a few balls to hit once you've kind of loosened yourself up, because most of the time what you're doing on the range, the first 5, 6, 7 swings, you're loosening up, and then you're trying to make adjustments of what you're seeing. Well, the goal isn't to be making adjustments. We're going to be talking, since we're an indoor facility, I'm going to be telling you what the ball's doing based on the numbers, looking at trackman. But you're not here to try to change things. You're here showing me this is what I normally do. Now, things I'm looking for. Sometimes the golfer would start off, his hands are in this position, a couple swings later, his hands in this position. No. Now it's in this position. Shoulders are 18 degrees open first swing. They're 4 degrees shut the second swing. They're, 28 degrees open the third swing. I'm looking at those things. I'm looking for how consistent are you at what you do. I'm looking at ball position. Is ball position similar? Because you're using the same club, it's usually going to be the club that you're going to be hitting first. Like if we're doing irons, you're hitting a 6-iron first. Obviously, if you're hitting a driver, we're in a driver fitting, you're not warming up with your driver. You're going to warm up with some irons, but then I'll give you a couple swings with your driver. But I'm looking at what is happening. What do you do regularly? What's your posture like? I have seen people who look like, if you remember Michelle Wee, when she came up with that unique putting stance where her back was perfectly flat. I have seen people try to mimic that with irons or close to that, choking down 4 inches on their irons. Okay, that we got to keep that in mind as we're going through the fitting. I'm going to ask the question, is that what you normally do? Is this something you've done all the time? Is this something you've just started? Well, why did you start doing it? I'm going to be asking questions of you because I am trying to figure out, why are you doing what you are doing? One of my favorites. I was watching on YouTube the other day. Did they use your name? Were they talking to you when you were listening to that and you changed that? I would have people forever coming in. Yeah, I need to work on my lag, and I would show them video of them, holding the angle to the bitter end. And I go, that's not your problem. That's not your problem. Don't watch it if they're not telling you personally that's what you're doing wrong. Don't trust them. Used to be I was reading in Golf Digest, but nobody does that anymore. Now it's always, there's a YouTube teacher who's teaching you without seeing you. What does the fitter see, and what is the course of action? So that's the next thing that I'm going to be talking to you, because you're wanting to know what we're going to do. I am going to be looking at, as I'm watching, maybe you have a dynamic gold S300 shafts, you're 50 years old, and you're barely getting the club up to the top. It looks like you're having to really work hard. So I'm already starting to think, okay, maybe we need to go a little bit lighter, or based on your posture, I'm thinking, I wonder if the fact that you're choking down 2 inches on the club and you're bent over, do you have enough head weight in that club? So I'm starting to think about, what am I seeing? What could be some issues? And then I'm going to explain to you what we're going to do. Okay, we're going to, this is what I'm seeing. I'm thinking I want to start off with a little bit lighter club. I'm only going to give you 2 or 3 swings with it. If after the first swing you go, I don't think I like this at all, tell me that. You do not have to swing it again. This is not a form of torture. I'm trying to learn, what do you like, what do you not like. If I give you something and you think, wow, I really like, tell me that. Okay? I'm going to be putting tape on the face of the club so I can see, where is ball striking taking place. I need to know that. I'm going to be monitoring other things. I might be asking questions. Do you slice the ball a lot normally? Do you not slice the ball that often? What is normal for you? Because, again, you're out there. The one thing that Josh really pointed out that unfortunately you're not getting to hear is, a lot of times when people come into a fitting, and he said he was guilty of this, you try to be perfect. You do things you would never do on the golf course. You really check your stance, and you're really thinking about your stance, and you're really thinking about where the ball is placed. Normally just go up and hit it. Well, you're putting all that extra pressure on trying to impress me and show me I really don't need to be fit, because these clubs really work. Usually, if you really need to be fit, the clubs aren't going to work, even if you're taking all that time. But what I'm trying to get you to show me is, show me what you normally do so I can work with that. Okay? It would be like going to take lessons from somebody, and you spend all the time picking out your target, doing all those things, and you've never done that before in your life. And the teacher's like, well, they go through the steps. They can't hit the target, but they're going through all the right steps. And then they start working on other things, and they don't cover the importance of setting up and how to set up. And you go right back to that same old, my shoulders are wide open. I was playing golf on Sunday or Saturday, playing with two gentlemen, just met them, and I noticed, the first tee guy hits the ball pretty decent. I go, wow, that was pretty good. And I noticed, okay, his shoulders were just a hair open, and here's where ball placement was. Well, we start going through the round, and he's starting to spray the ball all over. The ball's going way right, and even further right, and even further right. And then we get to the 15th hole, and he sets up, and his shoulders are probably 35 degrees open. He is pointing in the middle of an adjacent fairway that is probably 85, 90 yards to the left of the fairway we're playing. And he hit it perfect, exactly right down his shoulder line, 90 yards left. And he was like, what in the world is going on? And I finally spoke up and I said, you hit it perfect. That was exactly where you were aimed. Every swing he took, his address position was different, and not just a little different, a lot different. And so if I see that in a fitting, I'm going to point things out like that, because you need to know that. Okay, that's one of the things I can control. It's not a club issue, it's a me issue. I can't expect the ball to go towards the hole if I'm not aiming toward the hole. So one of the things that, I'm doing is I'm going to make sure you understand where we are going, how this is going to play out. No, you're not going to hit 15 shots with each club. You're going to hit 2, 3 at the most, maybe 4 on a rare occasion. But for the most part, we're going to be nailing down what's the weight of that shaft needing to be. And then we're going to look at swing weight. How much swing weight do you need to have? When we start off, I'm going to start looking at all the raw data of what's happening with the club that we are wanting to change. So if we're changing our irons, you've been hitting a 6-iron, and I'm looking at, okay, you're coming in from outside to inside at 11 degrees. You add a lot of loft to the club, or you're de-lofting the club. All those things I'm taking into effect. And then I'm looking at, okay, we thought we needed to go lighter, so I put you in a lighter shaft, and I'm probably thinking, okay, this would be the lightest shaft, because I want to see, is there any change in path? Is there any change in how much loft is on the club? I'm looking for, am I able to change some of those numbers? I might not get them down to 0, but I might get them down to 4 degrees from outside to in, and that wasn't unusual to be able to do that. Okay, so rather than the ball now fading off, 25, 30 yards, the ball's moving 3 to 5 yards. Well, 3 to 5 yards with an iron, that's a pretty nice shape shot. So I'm looking at what can I do, and I'm looking at the numbers as you're hitting your current, after you've hit your current club. I've looked at where's ball striking. I'm looking at, is the length of the club, because I've measured it, I know what the length is. Does that seem appropriate still? Or is there a reason to be thinking something else? Again, if you're a little bit on the taller side, you're the 6'2" or so, I might start thinking, do we need to step down by 3/8 of an inch, based on what I'm seeing? Or no, half-inch steps are still going to be good, and going off of 37.5 inches, I might, if you have a 4-iron in your bag and it's 39 inches instead of 38.5, might just have you, if the shaft is going to be similar weight to what you had, I might have you choke down that 4-iron 1/2 inch and see, are you able to hit a 4-iron at 38.5 inches long? Or do we need to think of hybrids? So we're looking at current ball striking. We're checking things with, for me, it was TrackMan. Other people have other devices. But I'm looking to see, what's happening as these changes are taking place. I've explained to you what I'm going to be doing. I've explained to you I'm going to be picking out different shafts. I've explained to you that I don't want you to tell me after the 5th or 4th shot, I hate this shaft. Now tell me immediately if you don't like something. Eventually we're going to start going back and looking at what kind of bend characteristics and all that stuff. And I think that's still in the current, the first dropped episode. I have not listened to the whole thing. I just listened to the part where it drops, and I know kind of the area where we picked it up. So hopefully this helps. Again, I apologize that Josh isn't here. He's the star of the show. I'm usually the one who just rambles, but hopefully this will help you, and it will clear up why you're missing part of the video. God bless.